Okay, so it seems like there's been a little bit of an update on the Genshin Impact situation again. Now, obviously, this is something that is kind of like ever evolving, so there will always be new stuff coming out constantly. And well, this is something a little bit different. Obviously, in my last couple of videos, we talked about the Paimon's voice actor actually crashing out and going pretty crazy over on TikTok and also, you know, just on Twitter in general, and just pretty much going after everyone possible, despite the fact that she wasn't striking at all, and the fact that, you know, she's still taking in money from HoYoverse and, you know, doing exactly what she was kind of attacking someone for. So again, it was kind of hypocritical, and obviously a lot of people are very, very angry at them. But also what a lot of people are very, very angry at is some of the other voice actors. Now you'll notice I've got this account pulled up, which has about 1,000 followers. So again, you might be wondering, well, why is that? Well, it's actually because it's a second account or an old account or whatever of a voice actor who was also backing up Paimon's voice actor and being a pretty much nuisance on Twitter. But they ended up deleting their account. They ended up deleting their account due to the fact that, you know, I'm guessing due to the fact of all the drama that has actually been going on, maybe someone reported them and they got taken down. That could also be a plausible reason. But yeah, it seems like their account is now gone. And if you don't know, Kaylee Mills is actually the voice actor for Keqing. And well, you know, they voice a lot of really big roles as well in, you know, Nikkei and other places like that with some, you know, main character roles, which is absolutely crazy. And yeah, she's been going off on Twitter as well, you know, attacking a lot of people. Now, obviously, here is one of the posts on r/Genshin Impact of, you know, some of the stuff that they were saying. And they said she admitted that they've been breaking the rules and are now expecting HoYo to fix their mistakes. And also, apparently, many of them have been making union rates. So some people have been misleading the community about that too. Now, obviously, they say SAG winning the strike means that their contracts will all have AI protection going forward. It doesn't make every game union. Also, I've worked on several union games with international talent. A game going union does not bar that talent from working. Technically, no union actor should work non-union at all, but we do, all the time. It's always been that in VO. It's not necessarily fine, but it's still very different from taking an existing role from someone who vacated that role withholding work for AI protections. That's why you don't see anyone calling out any of the actors for announcing their new non-union roles. It's because while as much as solidarity helps as possible, no one really expects everyone to be perfect allies, which again is kind of crazy because obviously, you know, they were attacking that guy for you know, taking that role, and they're saying, well, it's okay, you know, if sometimes someone takes a non-union role, which, you know, it's a little bit weird. And they said that they shouldn't technically, you know, it's not necessarily fine and that it's not necessarily, you know, within the rules, but you know, they still do it anyways, which again is kind of crazy. So, you know, they just kind of admit that they've been breaking the rules. And obviously, here we go. You know, someone actually responded to this saying, hey, Kaylee, I understand that the union was not enforcing the Global One rule, but did MiHoYo negotiate you/other union VA with union rates? I apologize if the question is intrusive, but it's one variable brought up in arguments that I can't really verify. And they say, hi, yes, although the game is non-union, many of us are making the union rate. So the whole argument of people saying, hey, you know, they're not making enough, that's just kind of mute now, because that is from one of the voice actors who has been very, very popular and very, very well known for being, you know, on the other side of everything, saying that they are getting paid union rate. You know, that was one of the arguments that I saw, at least. Obviously, AI protection was the main one, and that's the main thing that SAG-AFTRA are using to kind of, I guess, mask this. But at the same time, another one was also, we want more pay, when they're actually saying they are getting union pay. They're getting like the same rate as union pay. And obviously, a lot of people are saying that HoYoverse apparently do give out some pretty good rates whenever it comes to kind of pay and everything like that. Obviously, someone in the comments said here, but Karina said Genshin Impact needs to be a union project to get more pay. And then they say some VAs already tweeted on Genshin Impact is one of the best contracts in terms of pay, fame, and conditions. MiHoYo allows them to sell fan art of their characters. I saw a VA selling signed fan art for around $100. Nintendo, for example, does not allow anyone to do that for their video games. They say the VA for Ben in ZZZ actually announced some stuff about, you know, some themed prints that they were going to sign, and saying, can confirm, ordered one of them a while ago. Ben's VA should be a standard of how a VA should act on social media, class act, which again, I think is true, because a lot of these people do just like to go on Twitter and, you know, unnecessarily spread a ton of posts and hate and things like this, which again, for a voice actor, is just childish. And as I said in my last video, it'd make total sense if you're just a complete nobody on Twitter who just likes engaging with arguments and people, but the fact is they're not. You know, they're professional people who have professional jobs who, you know, should act professional, but they don't. And, you know, a lot of people are calling them out for that. And obviously, you know, they've kind of gotten what they deserve here. Now, obviously, you know, Bronya's VA, they're saying, so how's the contract going? We intend you to pay this much per sentence, per word. I'm sorry, is that too low? No, it's fine. Which again, apparently they were paying them per word, which again, apparently is quite good. I'm not sure as someone who isn't a voice actor. So again, I'm not sure how the overall pay works at HoYoverse, but it seems like they are getting paid pretty decently in terms of, you know, Genshin Impact and Honkai Star I'm voicing for them. So I think that isn't a big, you know, issue. Now, obviously, as I said, you know, Kaylee has been going on Twitter and saying even more stuff and kind of, you know, backing up a lot of Paimon's voice actors, you know, points and stuff like that. But obviously this post came up in Genshin Impact as well, saying Kaylee Mills deleted her account. Now, I don't know if this person knows what's actually going on, because they say, as the administrator of the Fortress of Meripede and a well-known tea connoisseur, I headed over to Keqing's English VA to ask if she had any tea for me. To my surprise, her profile was deleted. What happened? Now, I think we all know what happened. You know, it's something to do with what is going on at the moment. They say there are two things. Number one, someone just reported her, so her account was banned, or she had a mental breakdown, so she deactivated her account. Now, honestly, I don't know what, you know, which one it is, but I feel like they deleted their account. And if, you know, this might be a little bit of a controversial opinion, I think that's a good thing. Honestly, deleting their Twitter account might be a good thing for this person's career, and this might be a good thing in total for everybody, because it means that, you know, there's less arguments, and, you know, they are doing the more professional thing of not actually engaging with it. And if that is going as far as to deleting Twitter as a whole, that's fine, you know, as long as you're being more professional and, you know, not actually engaging with just some randos over on Twitter. Honestly, I think, you know, you're doing a pretty good job there. And, you know, honestly, I think it is a kind of good thing that this has happened in general, because, again, Kaylee has been going pretty mental over on, you know, Twitter as well. They say, they said as well, or perhaps one of her peers told her, hey, this is pretty bad for us and your post is making us worse. So again, that could also be another factor. Maybe she didn't delete it on her own terms, or maybe someone said, hey, you should probably do this because, you know, it's kind of affecting other people, which could also be another, you know, thing. But again, it still works the same. It's still affecting people, whatever. And obviously, as someone else said, probably a combination of her realizing she's binned her reputation and the Twitter exodus. Maybe a colleague recommended it to her. Bonus points if she's being snide about it. You know, something like Twitter. Yeah, again, it's just so... I don't understand, you know, why, you know, they do this. Again, okay, so they linked to this previous post as well. Because, you know, they've just gone really, really hard on everybody, and then it's all just ended with them deleting their account, which is crazy. Now, obviously, other kind of voice actors like, you know, Paimon's voice actor, Karina, hasn't deleted their Twitter account or anything like that, which, you know, maybe that will happen in the future. Probably not, seeing as how much they like to use it and how much they like to, you know, do a lot of reposts and do a lot of tweeting and stuff. So, again, I don't think that's going to be happening anytime soon. And maybe we'll see Kaylee come back very, very soon due to the fact that, you know, maybe they got suspended, but maybe we won't see them coming back, and maybe this could be another step forward in this kind of drama and in this kind of situation in general. Now, obviously, as well as another post of SAG-AFTRA actually throwing shade at HoYoverse, pretty much saying, you know, well said from one of the voice actor, I think that's a HoYoverse voice actor, and they pretty much tagged Genshin Impact, Honkai Star, Zenithal, and Zero, saying, we'll make it easy for you, sign the interim agreement, which, again, you know, as I pointed out in my previous video, I don't think it's as easy for HoYoverse to do as a lot of people think it is. And, you know, obviously a lot of people are saying, yeah, just sign it, just give them AI protections, which does sound good in general. You know, obviously adding AI protections to these people is good in general. And obviously it should be easy just to sign a contract to say this. But as we looked into some of the Chinese law, you know, they could, you know, face a lot of stuff for signing this contract in the first place. And also, you know, there's other factors as well in the contract, like, for example, not using like non-union VAs and things like that, and being like penalized for doing that, which again, I think is something that HoYoverse is definitely wary of. And maybe it's just a process, you know, maybe the HoYoverse lawyers are maybe looking through this, trying to make some changes that could actually, you know, make them, you know, sign a contract like this. Maybe they're not, maybe they just went, nope, okay, we're not listening to this anymore. But again, we'll have to wait and see, because this could be like a developing thing. It could just take, you know, the HoYoverse lawyers and people over at HoYoverse a long time to just look through all of this and change some things. And I feel like SAG-AFTRA aren't going to be very lenient whenever it comes to changing things on the contract. I feel like, you know, they're going to be pretty harsh whenever it comes to, you know, oh, can we just change this because it aligns better with our laws, whatever. They're probably going to say no. But again, you know, maybe they will say yes, and maybe we'll see an agreement coming out soon. But again, it does seem to be pretty heated. And then finally, as I said in my last video, you know, Venti's voice actor actually made his song about pretty much this entire situation, which was kind of funny. And I thought that it had nothing to really do with the situation at all, and it was just like a really bad coincidence. But honestly, the more and more I look at the comments, and the more and more I look at this TikTok itself, I feel like this is actually targeted towards some of the voice actors of Genshin Impact. And yeah, as I said, it's probably not going to be very good whenever they all turn up to the office after this strike is all over, and they're like, hey, remember whenever you like attacked me on Twitter? Yeah, kind of awkward, huh? So again, we'll have to wait and see if anything else kind of evolves and anything kind of happens. But that is pretty much everything that is up to date at the moment, and hopefully, you know, I'll keep you guys updated if anything else does happen in the future. But yeah, let me know down in the comments what you guys think about the situation. Do you think that Kaylee did the right thing about deleting their account here, or do you think that maybe they should have argued with people on Twitter a little bit longer? But honestly, I do think it's a good you know, good idea from her. And yeah, you know, the situation is kind of improving just a little bit. So yeah, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe. As I said, leave a comment down below, and I'll see you guys in the next one. That's all.